Between March 31st and April 1st, 2025, a critical event unfolded near Tinzouatine, a remote border town in southern Algeria, just a few kilometers from Mali. Algerian forces shot down a Malian reconnaissance drone. They claimed it violated their airspace, but this drone wasn't hostile. It was part of a coordinated mission, tracking terrorist movements threatening Mali and the wider Sahel region. Rather than coordinating with a fellow African nation, Algeria fired, and with that shot, they sent a signal that echoed across the continent. In response,
Press release number 73 of the Transitional Government. The Transitional Government regrets to inform the public that during the night of March 31st to April 1st, 2025, a drone belonging to the Armed and Security Forces of the Republic of Mali, registered TZ-98D, crashed on national territory in Tananzawate, Abeybara district, Kidal region. The wreckage was located precisely in an area with the following geographical coordinates: 19 degrees, 52 minutes, 4.738 seconds north, 2 degrees, 53 minutes, 38.101 seconds east, 9.5 kilometers south of the Mali-Algeria border. Following this incident, an investigation was immediately opened. The following points from the preliminary investigation deserve to be mentioned. Contact was lost with the aircraft at a position located within Malian territory, with the following geographical coordinates: 19 degrees 51 minutes, 50.526 seconds north, 2 degrees 53 minutes, 36.099 seconds east, situated 10.2 kilometers south of the Mali-Algeria border. The distance between the point of loss of contact with the aircraft and the location of the wreckage is 441 meters. Both these points are situated within national territory. The last information transmitted by the drone concerned an encounter with high-profile terrorists who were planning actions. The aircraft fell vertically, which can probably only be explained by a hostile action caused by surface-to-air or air-to-air missile fire. Several hours after the incident, the transitional government became aware, via the press, of a statement from the Algerian Ministry of Defense claiming the destruction of a drone that had allegedly overflown Algerian airspace by 2 kilometers. To further the investigations, the Malian authorities requested the Algerian authorities to provide them with conclusive evidence supporting the violation of their airspace by a Malian reconnaissance drone. For 72 hours, no satisfactory response has been given to the Malian request. The transitional government concludes with absolute certainty that the drone of the Malian Armed and Security Forces was destroyed following a premeditated hostile action by the Algerian regime. This decision is based on the following elements: the culpable silence of the Algerian regime regarding the Malian request and its refusal to cooperate confirmed the responsibility of this regime, which fired on the drone, causing its vertical fall. The precise trajectory data of the aircraft recorded in the system irrefutably prove that the aircraft never left the airspace of the Republic of Mali. Furthermore, the point of loss of contact with the drone and the location of the wreckage are both situated within Malian national territory. The absurdity of the argument of the violation of Algerian airspace by 2 kilometers, in other words, how could the drone's wreckage have ended up in Mali, 9.5 kilometers from the borderline, if the aircraft had actually violated Algerian airspace by 2 kilometers? Given the seriousness of this unprecedented act of aggression in the history of relations between Mali and Algeria, the transitional government condemns with the utmost rigor this hostile, unfriendly, and condescending action by the Algerian authorities, whose head of state recently stated on Mondovision, and I quote, 90% of Malian solutions are in Algeria. Furthermore, this action proves if proof were needed that the Algerian regime sponsors international terrorism. Indeed, the destruction of the drone clearly has the effect, if not the aim, of hindering the neutralization of armed groups that have claimed responsibility for terrorist acts. In this sad circumstance, while recalling the content of its press release number 64 of January 25, 2024, and that of Mali's address during the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly, the transitional government condemns the attitude of the Algerian regime which, in addition to serving as a rear base for terrorist groups, is now engaging in armed struggle to perpetrate aggressions against a neighboring state in order to protect its terrorists. Consequently, in response to this provocation by the Algerian regime, the transitional government decides to 1. Summon the Algerian ambassador to protest against the hostility of the Algerian regime. 2. Withdraw with immediate effect from the Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee, CMOC. 3. Bring a full case before international bodies against the Algerian regime for an act of aggression. The transitional government also notes that this blatant aggression by the Algerian regime against Mali is in contradiction with the effective participation of the Republic of Mali in the war for Algeria's independence to support the National Liberation Front, FLN. Finally, it calls on the Algerian regime, an exporter of terrorism, to cease being a threat to regional peace and security and to adopt a responsible behavior aimed at promoting peace and development. The transitional government reiterates to the Malian population that nothing will undermine the determination of the Malian Defense and Security Forces under the leadership of His Excellency General of the Army, Assimi Goïta, President of the Transition, Head of State, to pursue and achieve the noble objective of eradicating terrorism in all its forms. Following this determination, in the hours after the Algerian regime's aggression against the Malian drone, significant terrorist targets were successfully struck in the locality of Tinenzawatin and elsewhere on Malian territory. These operations will continue and may intensify depending on the evolution of the situation. May God bless Mali and protect the Malian people. Done in Bamako, April 6, 2025.
Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, the alliance of Sahel states, stood united. They recalled their ambassadors from Algiers. They declared Algeria a sponsor of international terrorism, and they withdrew from CEMOC, the Joint Military Staff Committee based in Algeria. This was not a knee-jerk reaction. It was a principled stance. These nations are no longer willing to tolerate betrayal, especially from those within the continent, at a time when unity is more vital than ever. Let's zoom out. The Sahel region has been a battleground for decades, not just against terrorism, but against neocolonialism, resource exploitation, and foreign manipulation. France, once seen as a guardian against instability, has increasingly been exposed as a self-interested actor. After years of failed military interventions, civil unrest, and economic strangleholds, the people of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger said enough. They turned away from the old partnerships. They looked inward, toward each other, and chose African solutions to African problems. Under the leadership of Colonel Assimi Goïta, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, and Brigadier General Abdourahmane Tiani, the Alliance of Sahel States was born. Not as an economic union, not as a paper treaty, but as a living embodiment of Pan-African unity. Together, they are launching joint operations, sharing intelligence, training soldiers, and most importantly, restoring dignity to their people. So why would Algeria interfere? Some say it's pressure from France. Others say it's fear of the AES model spreading across the continent, inspiring others to break free. But whatever the motive, shooting down a drone targeting terrorists is not neutrality. It's sabotage, and the consequences are now clear. This is a battle for the soul of Africa, not just for the Sahel, but for the entire continent. Will we remain divided, feeding into old colonial maps and mentalities? Or will we unite, draw strength from each other, and build a new era of African sovereignty? We must remember the vision of our forefathers: Thomas Sankara, Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, Julius Nyerere, Muammar Gaddafi. They dreamed of a continent free from dependency, guided by unity and defended by its own hands. That dream is alive today in the Sahel, but it is under attack, and every African must choose to stay silent or to stand with the Sahel. Not because it's perfect, not because the leaders are above criticism, but because they are trying, they are building, they are reclaiming what is rightfully ours. This drone incident is not the end. It's the beginning, a test, a turning point. Africa is rising. And those who stand in the way, whether foreign or domestic, must be held accountable. We will write our own story. We will secure our own borders. And we will rise, together, Africa for Africans.